Good morning, everyone. Welcome back into the AM show. And this Memorial Day, we are honored to welcome Marine Corps veteran Raul Vicente Jr., who first set foot in Vietnam as a 19-year-old rifleman with Hotel Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. And from mop-up operations in the wake of the Tet Offensive to grueling day and night patrols and a life-altering injury that sent him to Okinawa for 9 months of recovery, Raul's story captures both the camaraderie and the sacrifice that define military service. So, as we pause to remember those who gave their all, Raul's firsthand reflections remind us of the courage and resilience that Memorial Day is meant to honor. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, Raul.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And I first wanted to kick this off by saying thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
Thank you. And as your hat says right there, rightfully on your head, Vietnam veteran.
Yes.
And it's been 50 years since the end of the war.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
I believe it. I lived it.
Yeah. And that's what I'm so happy that you're here to talk to us about your experience of what you lived during that time. So I just wanted to first start off before you actually joined the Marines. What was life like for you before you decided to go and enlist? And was there a reason? And did someone inspire you to sign up when you were just 18 years old?
Well, actually, that's a fact.
Yeah.
I grew up in the East River Projects on 105th and 1st Avenue. So we grew up there, and in the 60s, people started joining the service from the projects, from the block. And this kid named Rene Santana joined the Marine Corps. And then he left, and he came back. He was in Vietnam in the early days, I think 64, something like that. He came back, and we all saw him walking around the projects in his uniform, nice and tall and really gallant looking, you know, the whole nine. And so some of us decided to join the military. So my best friend, Victor Holmes, he lived on the 6th floor. I lived on the 6th floor. And his grandmother used to babysit us. So we decided we were going to go down to Whitehall Street and join. We were 17 years old.
Wow.
They sent us back home because we needed parental signatures because we were 17. So we got they gave us paperwork, got the parental signatures, and then Victor joined the Army, and I joined the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And that's how my inspiration was Rene Santana.
Wow. Wait, but first of all, your family, they were just okay with it?
My mother went ballistic. No way, this and that. And my father said, let him go. If he wants to join, let him go. Let him, you know. I wasn't being the perfect son anyway. So I was in a gang, and there was all kind of stuff going on in the projects. My father was like, let him go, get him out of here, you know. And so I went.
Wow.
And he convinced my mother to stop crying and sign.
Wow.
Paperwork.
Needed both signatures.
Wow.
You know?
That's something.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So then you, from that point on, then can you describe the process after signing? What do you report to base camp? Like what happened after that? Well,
you have to go get a physical and all this stuff. I actually failed the physical because I had a heart murmur. And so then a team of doctors came over to me. This is in Whitehall Street. I don't know where they do it now, but they did it back then in 65 when I joined in 1965. You had to go to Whitehall Street to join the military. So they had a bunch of doctors come over to me, and they all examining me, listening to my heart. Said, well, you got a heart murmur, but if you really, really want in, you could sign this form. So I signed it.
Wow.
And I went in with a heart murmur.
Wow.
No bone spurs for me.
No. Wow. And so, but did that limit you at all, or you just had full?
No,
you were just cleared to do everything.
I think boot camp forced it out of me, and I kind of outgrew it at that point.
So you don't have that murmur anymore.
No, don't have it.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I went into boot camp. I joined the Marine Corps. I was like, I think just an inch or so above the minimum height.
Yeah.
And I came out of boot camp 6'1".
Wow.
So you got longer too.
I got longer. I got longer, stronger, leaner, meaner, everything.
Yeah, well, that's what you wanted when you saw your friend on the street. You're like, he looks tall and good, and that's what happens when you join. Wow, how interesting there. So, okay, so you prepared stateside, and then in October of 1967, I want you to take us back to that, because that's when you first landed in Vietnam. You were just 19 years old. You were with the Hotel 21 company. 21 company.
21 means 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Division.
Yeah. So what was that like? What do you remember from that first feeling of landing there?
Well, landed in Da Nang, and when I got off the plane, I could see the heat just waving in front of me, the waves of heat. It was stifling. And so some guys yelling at us, come over here, do this, do that. Ended up in a transition barracks for a couple of days, and just really didn't do anything but just sit around there, go to the mess hall to eat, and waiting for someone to tell you something. You don't know anything. It's very scary because you don't know what's going to happen. And then a guy comes in, says, okay, starts reading off names, and about 7 or 8 of us were called to go to the same thing. We were assigned to Hotel Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. So they took us to the tarmac, put us on a C-141, and we flew off to Dong Ha. Dong Ha is up by the DMZ. And then when we got there, the plane landed, and the crew chief, I can't forget this, the crew chief came over and said, the tail's gonna drop down, the plane's not gonna stop. You're gonna jump off. So we had our bags with us, and the plane slowed down enough to jump off, but it was still going pretty fast. And the next thing we heard was gunfire. I don't know where it was hitting the plane, not hitting the plane, but we could hear the gunfire, and we assumed it was coming at us. And then all of us jumped off the plane. They said there's a trench along the side of the runway, and there will be Marines in there. Wow. And when we jumped in, there were Marines. And they took us in hand.
Wow.
That is, wow.
No rifle, no nothing, just our sea bag, our bag. Wow. Just our bag.
And what mentally pushed you through that moment there? What were you thinking in that moment when you found out you have to jump and you have to land in this trench?
Well,
and good luck to you.
I want to look. I'm not one of the heroes from Vietnam. I was scared like there's no tomorrow.
No, that doesn't not make you a hero. You're still a hero.
I mean, I was literally very frightened.
Yeah.
You know, the plane was moving slow but fast. You could still, it was still moving fast. And so some guys jumped off, a couple of guys jumped off before me. I jumped off, fell down, hit, boom, boom, boom. And I looked up and there was a Marine.
Wow.
So then those guys, and it was pretty scary. And the plane never stopped. When I looked back, you could tell he was hitting the brakes because the plane didn't stop and turn. It went shh, like it glided into a turn, and then he took right off.
Wait a second. So the plane comes in, you guys jump off, and kind of plane is still moving.
Yeah, still moving.
Slides to the side, and then takes off in the opposite direction.
Then keeps going down the runway. And at that point, I knew they were shooting at the plane because I could see the muzzle flashes from the other side of the runway shooting at the plane.
Wow.
And so, and of course, you know, having never been involved in anything like that, I was pretty scared.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
But then those guys that were there, they took us in. They, don't worry, guys. We're here. We got you. And then they marched us over to the staging area where our company was. You know, where Hotel Company was.
Wow.
And I got introduced there. They gave me an M14 rifle, the big one, and assigned me. I don't have a great memory of who I was with. There was only one guy that I remember, and that was it.
Yeah. Wow, you got dropped right into battle.
I'm telling you. The one guy that you said that you do remember, do you guys have a close relationship? Is that someone who...
Well, yeah, that was Michael. You know, I'm pretty sure his name was Michael Butts from Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so we kind of gravitated to each other. He was on the plane. And because we were both from New York, we were the two guys from New York on that plane.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just, he wasn't in my platoon, he was in another platoon. But we still gravitated, go out on patrol, come back, meet up, you know, and for a few weeks we kept meeting. I would say just about every time we came off of patrol, we'd look each other up. And then I was I was there in my area. He was out on patrol. So when he came, he was supposed to come back. So I was waiting for his squad to come back. And when they came back, I went looking for him, and they said, "Oh, he's not here." And I said, "Well, where is he?" He said, "Oh, he got hit. He's dead."
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
So he died. Never saw him again.
I'm so sorry.
I saw him
to
the
hear
day
that.
before. I didn't see him after that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your loss with that. But
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good.
But that just shows the dangers of going out on patrol. And that was something you had to do often. Can you tell us about that?
Well, patrols were not what, I don't think patrols are really what people think they are. Sometimes it's just nothing. It's just out in the jungle, and you know you're surrounded by the enemy, so that's the part that infiltrates you. But a lot of times you just go out, you come back. You go out, you come back. It's hot, it's nasty.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff in your pack. You're sweating. You got to walk maybe on a patrol, maybe 2, 3, 4 miles, 5 miles out, or maybe not even that much, maybe even just a couple of clicks, 2,000 or 3,000 yards out, and you're already in their turf.
Wow.
And so nothing might happen for days and days on end. It's just going out, coming back, going out, coming back, but it's scary. Yeah. And the night patrols were even more scary because you couldn't see anything. It's pitch black, and the guy in front of you is 10 feet away. If you make the wrong turn, you're lost. So it was pretty scary, especially walking tail end Charlie, which was the last guy in the lineup. The last guy in the lineup had to keep vigilant, because if they turn and you don't see that turn and you keep going, you could end up alone out there.
And you guys aren't talking, right? You have to be quiet.
You can't talk. You're quiet. You can't make noise out there.
Wow.
You're otherwise, they'll hear you. You could hear from a long way off out there. You could hear noises from a long way off.
Was there a moment patrolling that stands out to you that you remember that you'll never forget being out there? Did you guys uncover a booby trap or anything like that?
Well, I have a memory of something, but I'm not 100% sure my memory's not in my imagination.
Interesting.
But I do remember that we went out by the church in Quang Tri, and it was a night patrol, and there was an explosion. And it was somebody in the front stepped on a booby trap or something, and then it ended up, somebody said, "We can't move because we don't know if we're in an area full of booby traps." So we had to spend the whole night there until the morning, so we could see what we were doing to get out of there. And we were over by the old church in Quang Tri, old Catholic church in Quang Tri, somewhere in that vicinity, but in the jungle. I remember that. That was early on with Hotel 2-1. I don't know, maybe I was there only a month when that happened, And but most of the time that I was with Hotel 2-1, which I was only with them from October to December, then I got transferred to India 3-5. But in Hotel 2-1, they were involved in mop-up operations from an operation called Swift, which took place a few days before I got there, or a week or so, which was a huge major battle in which literally hundreds and hundreds of Viet Cong were killed, and many of the Marines a lot of Marines were also killed and hurt. I wasn't in that, but we were part of the patrolling to mop it up, looking for remnants of the divisions that they fought against, because they were still out there. So they sent us out. We would go out on patrols to look for those guys to either capture or kill.
Wow.
So you were looking for not your own guys to come?
No, we were looking for the enemy, NVA, regulars. Most up Quang Tri area, near the DMZ, most of the outfits were regular North Vietnamese army people, but they also had Viet Cong. But I think that Operation Swift was against a lot of regular North Vietnamese soldiers. I don't remember all the details because I wasn't in the actual operation. I got there a few days after it had winded down already, and so then we were us guys that were on that plane. We were replacements for some of the guys that got killed in that operation. We just didn't know it when we got there until later on.
Yeah.
How many people were in your platoon or in your patrol unit?
Well, in Hotel 2-1, I really can't give you a number because the way we were situated in these, we used to use our ponchos to make like these little tents. So we were in this area here, and I kind of was lost, to tell you the truth. I don't even know where I really was, or how many people I was with, and who was my leadership. I can't remember any of those things, you know.
Interesting, yeah.
You know.
Do you think you suppress that, or is it just from
I don't know.
PTSD,
I really don't know. I didn't know them then.
Yeah.
I didn't really talk to all those guys then.
Yeah.
They, you know, you're the new guy, so you're like, you're gonna get somebody killed as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, and you're just trying to learn things.
Yeah,
and you're just trying to survive,
right,
too.
right.
Wow, what an emotional roller coaster
Yeah,
that
and they're
is.
looking at you as, that guy can potentially get me killed.
Yeah.
Because he does not know what he's doing out here.
Yeah, so you have to learn. Sit here and learn and just
Right.
watch and listen and stuff.
But
yeah.
Hotel 2-1 prepared me for India 3-5.
Yeah, and I want to get into India 3-5. And after that, you went to Bravo 127 as well.
After India 3-5.
After India 3-5. So we have a lot to get to, but we're just going to take a pause right now, guys.
Sure.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to come back and learn even more of your story because it's such an incredible one. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with Raul.
Okay.
Welcome back to the AM show. We are here on Memorial Day with our special guest, Raul Vicente Jr. We have been diving into his early stages of Vietnam and what that looks like. And he is just, I mean, sharing just these very vivid moments that we are being privy to. So we want to thank you again for being with us, and just in continuation of the conversation. You know, we touched on a lot of these moments about how you even shared how, you know, you lost someone that you initially began to, you know, have a connection with.
Yeah.
What was the feeling like? You know, you mentioned before when we were talking a bit off camera, you know, feeling a bit alone. What was going through your mind as the days as things are happening, as you're continuing to go on patrol, and you know, you're not really told much information? What's going through your mind during these points?
Well, you know, that's an interesting memory, because Michael Butts was kind of like my lifeline to not feeling alone. Because we were both from New York, so we had a really good connection. When they told me that Michael had been shot and killed, that's when I really felt like, oh, I got no one here. Because none of the people that were in the outfit seemed to, you know, gravitate toward me, and I didn't gravitate toward them, you know. So it kind of felt weird, kind of felt like really alone. But they didn't, I mean, it wasn't like they didn't accept me totally or anything like that, but they were a little leery because I knew nothing. But they did train me. They helped me survive. Different guys would say, don't do this, don't do that, you know, and oh, do this, keep your E-tool here, do this, sharpen your E-tool, you know, different things. They give me all the tips to survive, you know. And I was in a few firefights with Hotel 2-1. That kind of prepared me for India 3-5. Having been in a few firefights, because the first one is the scariest one. I mean, you know, your bullets are actually coming at you. Now you can hear them whizzing by, so it's pretty scary. You can't even see who's shooting at you half the time. Half the time you're shooting over your head because you can't even see them. Wow. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. If you see a muzzle flash, you're shooting that direction. If you don't see anything, you just shoot in any direction in front of you. And, you know, and you know, you got experienced guys with you, and they're just telling you what to do.
Yeah.
So that helped me.
Yeah, and then so that helped you when you transitioned into India Company 3-5, then you went to Bravo 127, right? So is there a rhyme or a reason for why you got switched, or do they just tell you you're going here now, you're going here?
I have no idea why I got transferred from Hotel 2-1. I was starting to feel the groove. I was, you know, you're always scared, but as you move along through time, the fear becomes a different kind of fear. You're not actually afraid of being there anymore, but you're just afraid of other kinds of things like being captured, stuff like that. But you acclimate, and so then you start doing all the right things. But I don't know why they transferred me to India 3-5. I believe India 3-5 might have been part of the operation called Swift or Medina, and they may have lost a bunch of guys, and so they just start culling from, from the different outfits and sending them out to replenish them. But it took me from the DMZ and the Canopy down to Da Nang, which was actually better because now you're engaged mostly against the Viet Cong instead of NVA regulars. The Viet Cong were okay, good. They were good fighters, but they weren't anything like an NVA regular.
Gotcha.
Those are trained guys.
Yeah.
And the Viet Cong are farmers.
Yeah. Yeah, going against them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is unreal. So, and by the time you got transferred, now what is the relationship like with the folks that you have there in that new platoon?
Well, I got transferred to Lieutenant Duckworth's platoon.
Okay.
His platoon was called Duckworth's Raiders. And I got assigned to a guy named Pruitt, Sergeant Pruitt, his squad. And he interviewed me, he questioned me when I was assigned him. He came over and said, all right, so you just came from Hotel 2-1, you were up by the Z, what do you got? So I told him the truth. I said, look, I'm still raw, but I've been in a few firefights. I'm not that scared anymore. And I kind of, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. That's it. He said, okay, if you do what I tell you to do, you'll live.
Wow.
And that was it. And he kept us safe.
Yeah, kept you safe.
Pruitt was one heck of a Marine.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want from a leader too,
Yeah,
right?
he-
Someone
he-
you can
yeah,
trust, that
yeah.
you look up to, all of the...
The thing is that Pruitt was not only just a leader from a personal perspective, he knew how to read the maps, he knew the terrain, he knew how to observe everything. He was really good at all of that. So when we would go out on night patrols, this guy would keep us safe.
There you go. Wow, wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you were able to be in his company and you were
Yeah.
able to stay safe to a certain degree, because now what I really want to talk about is Operation Greenbrook. And I want to talk about what happened there because you were actually shot by a sniper, is that right?
Right.
And you were hit twice. So can you walk us through that moment, your immediate reactions when you were hit, how you coped with being wounded, if you can just explain all of that?
Well, Greenbrook was a big operation. Over 1,100 enemy combatants were killed. And I think we took something like 160 or 170 casualties as well, including KIA. We were engaged in, we were looking for them. This was a place called Go Noi Island. It was also known as Liberty Island. So the Vietnamese regulars and the Viet Cong, it was a constant back and forth. They'd have control of the island, we'd have control of the island. They'd have control. We'd leave, they'd come back in. So different elements would go in there of our troops would go in, fight them, get them out, and then leave. And then when they would leave, the Viet Cong and the NVA would come back to Go Noi Island. So I guess back in May, they decided to clear Go Noi Island again. And a lot of different outfits were there, not just mine. And a lot of them were engaged. So I'm there. We're on this big, massive company, battalion-sized patrol. Not patrol, but advanced. And we hit a village, and there was a graveyard in front of us, and the stumps were there because they bury themselves in mounds. I don't know why, I don't remember why, but there was a story behind that. And so myself and a couple of guys were moving through the graveyard to get into the village, and some gunfire broke out, and I got hit in the back, and I got knocked down. And so then they called us back. And when I got back to the line where they were, I took my backpack off, and there was a hole in it.
What?
And what I'm about to tell you, believe it, don't believe it, but I know it. The bullet entered the spoon of one of my grenades and was just sitting in there. So I showed it to I guess my platoon leader. I can't remember who he was. I don't know why I don't remember him, but I don't remember him. I remember Pruitt, like really vividly, but I don't remember this guy from Bravo 127. But I showed it to him. He said, bury that thing. So I took the bullet out and I buried it. They called in phantoms. They assigned some yellow things to go over your backs. And then the jets flew over the top of us and hit the village. Then they strafed the village. They did whatever they were going to do. And then they said, all right, get back in there. So then me and the same two guys, we went into the village. There was some guys in there in a hole, got them out. I don't know whether they were Viet Cong or not. I really can't say, but they were young enough to be Viet Cong, but they were hiding in a hole. Maybe just because they didn't want to die from the jets, but there was a sniper in that village because he shot me in the back, but I didn't get hit. It didn't penetrate my body. So after we messed around with those people, there was a lot of women and children, captured everybody, and then they said, okay, let's move out, get to the tree line. And there was a tree line, and then on the other side of the tree line was a big open field. So then they asked us to move out. I started moving out, and I caught movement to my right from my vision, and there was somebody behind a tree. As I turned, he opened fire, and he hit me multiple times. Oh. And I went down, and then all the guys were shooting at him, and he ran away. And then they came and got me. They took me to, it started to rain. It was drizzling. To begin with, it was drizzling, but then it started to rain a little bit. They took me, they dragged me back behind the tree line again, and they put me up against, I remember this stump, it looked petrified, it was gray. So I think it was a petrified tree stump. And the Colonel Greenwood, he came over. It was myself and another guy got hit by a rocket somewhere else. Oh my God. And he came over and he handed me a cigarette. And he said, "I'll see you in a couple of weeks, Zulu." And I said, "I don't think so. The bone is sticking out."
So where were you hit specifically?
I was hit in my left arm right here.
Wow.
Bullet went in here, came out here, broke the bone. Oof. Bone was sticking out. Oof. Then I got hit in the hip also. But the reason why this guy didn't kill me was because he shot me with his AK on automatic. And he didn't have good control. He wasn't a real sniper. You know, he wasn't a guy with a scope or anything like that. He was just a guy shooting at us, you know. And then that was it, you know. Wow. And then went back. They said, "You're gonna have to go to this field to the left of this field because the chopper's gonna go over there and meet you over there." So I had to walk out, me and this other guy. And he had bandages around his waist like a diaper because he got blown up between his legs. My God. And so the both of us, with 2 or 3 guys, I think it was 3 guys, we walked out. We walked about, I don't know, a click or so to another field. Click is 1,000 yards. And then the helicopter came in. We got the helicopter and got taken to the name.
Oh, my goodness.
So you walked 1,000.
Wow.
You had to walk a couple clicks, and this is with wounded.
Yeah, but I was high. They shot me with a couple of syringes of morphine. Okay. And I was like in La La Land. Yeah. You know.
Not feeling the pain. Yeah. And then you had to go to Okinawa for 9 months. You were in the hospital with surgery and rehabilitation there.
Right. We went first to Thailand, stopped in Thailand, but we didn't get off the plane. And then the plane took off. I don't know why we stopped there. I have no idea why. Then we went to the Philippines, and I had to stay overnight in the Philippines. So I was the only one in the ward. I was the only person in that whole room. All the beds were empty. And then the next morning, they put me back on a plane, and I went to Okinawa. And then I don't know if it was a day or 2 later, they took me to surgery. Yeah. And then they did the surgery on me. It was about 5 hours long. Wow. From what I heard from Roberto. Roberto was an Army orderly. Yeah. And he was Puerto Rican like me. Wow. And he was from New York like me. So we kind of like spoke to each other a little bit there. And he said, "Oh, you were in there for like 5 hours, bro." You know, like that. I said, "Well, when I woke up in the recovery room, they had this big sandbag thing around my neck. And he was standing over me. And he had his hands on my head. He said, "Don't move." Oh, wow. Because they gave me a spinal tap to do the surgery. They put me... They numbed my whole body with some kind of spinal tap. And he said, "Don't move, because if you move, you're going to have headaches for weeks." So I didn't move. That was Roberto.
There you go. Well, thank you for Roberto for doing that. Yeah. Wow. And then you got discharged after that and came back to...
Well, 9 months later, they gave me orders to go back to Vietnam. Wow. And I had the cast on. I had the wire stitching in my hip. And I really felt like my mojo was gone. Yeah. I didn't feel I didn't feel the energy anymore.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor. I went to Roberto. I said, dude, they're sending me back. He said, go see the doctor that did the surgery and ask him if he can give you a light duty thing for 30 days. So you've been here 9 months. If you're here 10 months, they won't send you back. So I went to see Dr. Berkeback. Had 2 doctors did the surgery. Dr. Brown, who's African American,
Yeah.
and Dr. Berkeback, who was Jewish. And Dr. Brown, when they had me in the room, and they examined my arm. He told Berkeback, he said, we can fix this. You know, I remember him saying, we can fix this,
Yeah.
you know. So I went to see Berkeback. I couldn't find Brown. And I went to see Berkeback, and I told him, I said, look, I really don't want to go back. If I'm here 30 more days, I don't have to go back.
There you go.
So what do you say? Will you sign this paper? Roberto had given me the form. And he said, all right, turn around.
Wow.
And he signed it with the pen, and then he put a period at the end of his name, and the point of the pen went through the paper and into my back. It was like a poke, you know, ting, you know. And then he turned around. I disturbed him. He was playing pool.
So you bugged
He
him
was
there.
shooting,
Yeah.
playing pool
Yeah.
in the officers' lounge.
Gotcha.
And I went like this. Can you come here, please?
Yeah.
And then he came, and
Yeah.
and that was it. Then they shifted. They moved me from the hospital to a transition barracks. I spent 30 days in there.
Yeah, and then,
And then
yeah.
then, you know, other things went down, but I eventually got on a
back.
plane and went to California.
Wow, incredible. What an incredible story. I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing that story
Yeah.
with us. And we wanted to thank you so much for your service, for being here, and to just honor those that you've met and that we've lost. And we're so glad to have you here to tell your story.
Well,
so thank you so much for being here.
I'm
so
happy to
appreciate
be
it.
here, but I got to tell
Thank
you, there were guys over there that did really, they're the ones that did it. I was almost like a tag along.
No, but you being there and you putting your effort in, you don't know how that could have changed the war. And if every guy didn't go in with the same passion that you had and thought that same way, nothing would have happened. So no, I definitely think you're a hero. We thank you so much for being here. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. So thank you. All right, guys, that was our wonderful interview with Raul Vicente Jr. We'll be right back with more of the show after this.